Good morning. Welcome to lesson 2 of the course Developing Web Application with Angular Frontend and ASP.NET Core Backend using RADZEN and Benjamin Fadino. In this second lesson, we are going to review the starter application in Visual Studio 2019, and we are also going to view additional database objects that were generated by RADZEN in lesson 1. So I'm going to my C drive now. The application that we generated in lesson 1 is created in this folder called Backup Angular. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy. So I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it Backup Angular underscore copy. Now I'm going to right click on Backup Angular, then I'll select copy. Then I'm going to open this folder called Backup Angular copy. All right, click on the empty space and click paste. Now it is this copy of the application that we are going to open in Visual Studio so that we can review the source code that was generated by RADZEN. So I'm going to open. I will now open the generated source code. So I will double click on this Backup Angular. Now I'll right click on this application.solution file. From the context menu, I will say open with. So I'm going to open with Visual Studio 2019. So finally, the solution is opened. We are now going to view it in Solution Explorer. So I'll click on View, Solution Explorer. Now, what I have displayed in the Solution Explorer is the ASP.NET Core Backend project. Let me start from the app settings.json file. Wait to open it now, double clicking on it. Now, in the app settings.json file, you see the database connection string. That's the database connection string. Now let's look at the models folder. So in the models folder, there is a subfolder called Combanker, and there we have the POCO classes. The POCO classes generated for the tables in our database. We have the POCO classes, for account. For example, account ID is being identified as the primary key, and that the database generates identity property on it. Then we have account number, and then we also understand from the POCO class that there is a one-to-many relationship between accounts and transactions. Public eye collection, transactions. This tells us that many transactions will belong to one account. Let's take some moment to review the POCO class generated for account type. Let's take some moment to review the POCO class generated for transaction. Now, the next thing we want to do is to review our controllers. Okay, before we review our controllers, let's open the data folder. Let's look at backup context.cx. Backup context is a class that inherits from entity framework called .db context. You can also see that in the method of model creating, this class utilizes Fluent API. Okay, let's look at some other code that have been generated. Let's open the subfolder called backup. Here we have our account type controller. And you can see that in this file, we are importing the Microsoft.asp.NET.O data namespace. We are also importing Microsoft.asp.NET.O data.routing. The reason is that the application uses OData controller. The application uses OData controller instead of Web API controller. So we have public partial class accounts controller inherits from OData controller. This is the method to get all accounts. This is the method to delete a single account. What else do we need to review? So now that we have reviewed this, we have reviewed the ESP.NET backend project. Sorry, now that we have reviewed the ASP.NET Core backend project, the next thing we are going to do is to review the Angular frontend. So we are going to review the Angular frontend. So now I'm going to close this. I'm going to close Visual Studio. Now I'm going to start Visual Studio Code. So this Visual Studio Code. I right click on it, selecting Run as Administrator. sorry, let me start Visual Studio Code again. So Visual Studio Code, let me just click on it straight up. Okay, Visual Studio Code is starting now. So Visual Studio Coders. So I want to close all this. There's a project that was opened before. So I'm now going to, I'll click on File. I'll go to Open Folder. I'm going to navigate to my C drive. I'm going to navigate to Angular, bank Angular underscore copy. Then I'm going to click on bank app Angular. Then I'm clicking on select folder. Now, what I want to review with Visual Studio Code is the client side code for Angular that was generated by RADZEN. So I'm going to click on client. Then I'll click on the node called source. Then I'm going to click on app. And here you have the Angular client side codes that are generated by RADZEN. Uh, we have these are the various TypeScript files. So we have the TypeScript file for the OData client. We have the TypeScript file for config.service. We have the TypeScript file for CombackApp.service. And then you can see that this script file is importing injectable from Angular/core. It also imports HTTP client, HTTP headers, and the likes from Angular.common.http. It also imports OData client. Now, here we have the constructor for the class. Then here we have the method to return all accounts. Then we also have the method to create a new account. We have another method to delete an account. We have the method to get an account by the account ID. We have the method to obtain accounts. We have the method to get account types, so on and so forth. Okay. We also have the method to create transaction, delete transaction, get transaction by transaction ID. Then let's look at the TypeScript for the bank app model. Now, this is the TypeScript file for the bank app model. They are defined as interfaces. We have the account interface, the account type interface, and the transaction type interface. Let's look at the app.module.ts. Let's look at app.component.ts. Now, Now that we've done that, let's look at some other things. This is the transactions uh, folder. Now let's look at the transaction.component.ts. So this is just a brief review of some of the client side files that were generated by RADZEN. Now the next thing we are going to look at are the database access objects that were generated by RADZEN. So I'm going to close this. This time around, I'm going to connect to SQL Server. So in order to do that, I will ensure that my SQL Server service is running. So I'll click on Services. So I'm going to look for the SQL Server service called bfadino. It is not running. So since it is not running, I'll select it and right click on it. I'll click Start. So it's now running. So now I'm going to connect using Management Studio. I'm going to search for Management Studio. Here we have Management Studio. I click on it. Sorry. Okay, it's coming up. Okay, so I'm now going to connect using SQL Server authentication. So I'm now going to expand the databases folder. And here you have Muyik Bank DB1. Here we have the tables for the application that we created using the Transact SQL script in lesson 1. But of interest is, let me see whether we have any additional objects generated under programmability. Okay. No, there's no other objects created under under stored procedures. So we have come to the end of this lesson. So in the third lesson, we are going to customize the starting application generated by RADZEN. Thank you.